Oh, hey, it's you. I'm just reading my Vietnamese literature right now. I'm learning about the history of Vietnam, the cuisine of Vietnam, and also the communication style of the Vietnamese people. Come join me. Alright, so I'm going to give a brief history of Vietnam. So, one of the early events in Vietnamese history is actually when China took over Vietnam for 1,000 years. And after those 1,000 years, they're able to gain their independence from China and expand and grow as a bigger nation. But when Vietnam was enjoying being independent from China, that's when in the late 1800s, the French were on their, I don't know, colonization era and decided to take over Indochina, so Laos, Thailand, and Vietnam, and other countries in that area. But luckily, after World War II, there's something called the Geneva Accords that happened. And because of that, a lot of nations came together and started making deals to start having peace among all the nations. And one of those that is Vietnam gets their independence because after World War II, after the Japanese were defeated, Vietnam decided to proclaim their independence, and France decided to let them have it. And one of the deals was that Vietnam had to be split into two, North Vietnam and South Vietnam, for 2 years. And in the book by Martin Lawrence, The Vietnam War, it talks about how the North was communist and the South was capitalist, and that's why the split happened. But before the 2 years were up and Vietnam could be united again, the North decided to attack the South, and that sparked the Vietnam War. And as you know, the US got involved and supported the South, but we ended up losing that war. And so North Vietnam was able to take over South Vietnam and unite the country. Now, in the modern era, Vietnam is united under communism and is known as the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, which is a one party system that is prospering today. Xin chào. So, the first Vietnamese cuisine that we're going to try is pho. And before I try it, I kind of want to talk about the way that pho came to be in the history of it. So one of the things that kind of happened with the creation of pho was it came to be because the French, when they were colonizing Vietnam, they ended up slaughtering a lot of cattle in mass. And so they had all this excess scraps and bones from all the cattle. And the Vietnamese people didn't really know what to do with it, so they started to gather it all up and start making broth with it from the cattle. And that's how we got pho today. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, I think it's a pretty important thing in their culture now. Pretty much time. Pho. Hey guys, so we're gonna be drinking some tamarind drink now, also known as kwame. Um, it's a pretty popular drink in South Vietnam. It's usually used to make a sweet and sour soup, actually in Vietnam, but in the South they use it a lot more to make drinks. So we're gonna try it and see how it tastes. Oh wow. Yep. That's sour. That's a sour drink. Alright, last but not least, we're gonna be trying the durian wafers. From Pearl Vine, it talks about how the durian plant is known for its spiky exterior and its golden yellow creamy exterior. And one thing is that the durian tree can grow up to 40 feet long, and it's known for its distinct smell, which I can smell it right now. It's really strong. And we're gonna try the wafer and see how it tastes. Oh wow. That's not. That's not it. That's not it. All right, so this is my friend Howard Nguyen, and he's Vietnamese, and he's going to tell us about the differences between the Vietnamese communication style and the English communication styles.
So Vietnamese is actually considered like one of the harder languages to learn because of all of its accents and pronunciation per word. For example, in English, we have reading. We have red as in reading, and then red as in the color red. But in Vietnamese, we have ba as in three, and then ba as in dad. It's it sounds exactly the same, but they're completely different words.
All right. Um,
Funny thing is, I've always been told when I talk to someone in Vietnamese, like my mom or dad or brother, we sound like we're arguing, but in reality, we're just having a normal conversation.
I can
So that's
contest to that. I
yeah,
agree because it sounds like that. That's interesting. I guess when it comes to like the North and the South, are there like any like big differences in the way of like communication?
yeah. There actually are. So as we know, like there's the main parts of Vietnam is the north and then the south. So the north is usually considered more formal, while the south is considered like more informal. And because of this, not because of this, it's a way to look at it is like UK English to US English. The UK English is considered more formal, as to the US English is considered more informal. In the US, you actually more likely hear a southern dialect more than a northern, because back then the north took over the south, and then it made all the southern most of the southern Vietnamese people migrate to the US.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Howard. Ciao.
You're welcome. Ciao.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me on this presentation about the Vietnamese people and their culture. And so yeah, get out. You can leave. Ciao. 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 Ciao.